I always got along with Andre. He was a good guy, very good guy. But again, I think he was a lonely guy. He stayed mostly in hotels and traveled a lot. And I don't think he got to enjoy life to the fullest. The way I understood him, is he made a lot of money, but nothing was made for him. People don't realize that. Here's a guy who can afford to buy anything he wants, and nothing is built for him. You sleep in the bed, the biggest king size you can have, and your feet are hanging over. You got a catty corner, corner to corner to sleep on that thing. He had to be careful when he sat on chairs. He didn't fit in cars. I mean, he fit not comfortably, even in a limo. I don't think he was. He was a very, very nice guy, and I think he knew that he was a very strong, powerful guy, and I think he knew that. I think he knew that he could really hurt somebody. If he wanted to, I think he could have really hurt somebody real, real bad. I wrestled him in Knoxville, Tennessee. I got videos of it. I wrestled him. I would have been in the 70s. He was in good shape then. I think 77 to 76, 77, around that time. And that's the only time I ever wrestled him.
And that's matching, your strength and his pure strength. And yeah, you're right. There's always the stories of him being able to kind of, when he wanted to really muscle up on somebody and kind of, either straighten him out in the ring or what, he could go ahead and do so. But do you think that, being known as a giant, that was he hesitant to do that? But if you had to yourself, if you had to teach him a lesson, is that something that you would not hesitate to do as well?
Yeah, well, it was a business. He was a business guy. And, you know what he did before he wrestled? He was a rugby player.
Right.
Yeah, somebody discovered. Can you imagine a guy like that playing rugby? and I remember when he came to Montreal first, because what was his name to travel with him? He was a French guy, big guy. He brought him to Canada, to Montreal, and when he discovered him, told him, he says, "You'll make a lot of money in wrestling." So. But he had a good attitude. But he was a very independent guy. He did pretty much anything he wanted to do, and I don't blame him. He was the only guy who was allowed to drink in the dressing room. That was funny. Because you couldn't drink alcohol in the dressing room. A lot of promoters you got fired. And I'm talking about before the match. He'd sit there, play cards, and he'd drink his wine, He loved to drink. But he was a good soul, man, good-hearted guy. And I had him over at my house to eat a few times. And just, very gentle giant. But I don't think I would have done anything to upset him.
Well, and one thing I think we can say about you in this interview, you are very, very modest about a lot of the things that you've done, a lot of the things, in your career. And this is one thing for the listening audience, and this is kind of to break the wall here. Go out of your way to watch the clips of Ronnie Garvin and Andre the Giant, because he might have been a gentle giant, but you guys you looked like you were beating the tar out of each other, and some of those knees to Andre. I mean, you guys really, you guys made it, to use the word entertaining. It was definitely something. If you catch the clips of you versus Andre, I definitely suggest for the listeners to check those out, because they are rough.
Do you know what that match was? It was a handicap match. It was Roy Lee Welsh and Andre the Giant against me. It was reverse. You remember he used to wrestle 2-3 guys, handicap match?
Right. Yep.
Well, this match was the opposite. It was him and another guy against me. That was in Knoxville, Tennessee. I tell people a lot of people don't believe that, but I'm sure it's in the paper somewhere, newspaper, advertised or something. I don't think there's a video. I got the video, and I got most of the match. But there's got to be posters of that. There's got to be some kind of but it was a handicap match. You didn't know that, right?
I didn't know it was a handicap match. I just thought that somebody might be handicapped by the time it was over.
But check that out, really. It was advertised as a handicap match. Roy Lee Welch, and the whole thing started. I broke Roy Lee Welch's wrist. I think it was his wrist or his elbow. It was his arm or something. And he had his arm in a cast. And he challenged me. He says, I'm going to get me a partner, blah, 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 blah. I said, I'll wrestle anybody. I says, the Pope, anybody. I said, you go get whoever you want. And that's when he showed up with Andre the Giant, you know. And, of course, I was going over the top. I wasn't there. So, of course, when they went to the ring, Roddy Welch stood on the apron. And Andre was in the ring. He was going to do the wrestling. And Roy Lee was in his wrestling gear, I believe. But he had his arm in a cast, you know, and yeah, that's how it was booked. Handicap match. We did the opposite, which is different. It sold out the Coliseum. Coliseum in Knoxville sold out. So again, it's all about money. You know, that's why it's a job.